here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. It's always interesting to take a look at new products hitting the market, especially when they're radically different than anything a company has previously produced. And that's exactly what I have for you today. It's a brand new release from Nahvalur with a rather unique design and a surprisingly reasonable price. It is called the Eclipse. The Eclipse has a retractable nib, similar to a Pilot Vanishing Point or a Platinum Curidas, but the mechanism to extend and retract this nib is something I haven't seen before in a fountain pen. And I'll let you know if I feel the departure for this company is 2 steps forward or 1 step back. Like I said, the pen is called the Eclipse. What I am going to do today is go over the parts and features of this futuristic offering, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. The Eclipse is available in 6 different models. There is the black gold, black silver, iridium, pure gold, pure silver, and electrum. Now, in regard to the electrum is actually a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver, so having this particular model with the gold body and black trim doesn't quite match up with the name. That's a very small nit to pick, though. The pen arrives in this box, which I think might be new to Nahvalur. I hadn't seen one of these before. The top kind of lifts up, and inside we have a pen. This is the Nahvalur Eclipse. This particular model is the pure silver, and I actually have 3 models here. This is what they all look like together. I have the pure silver, the pure gold, and the black gold. Now, pure silver is just a name. This pen is machined out of aluminum. There is no actual silver here. The same goes for the models with gold or iridium in the name. However, the models with black in the name do contain black. The distinguishing feature of this pen is that there is no knock to extend and retract the nib. Instead, the entire body, let me set these other ones down, is pushed together to actuate the mechanism with a very satisfying click. Okay, there is going to be a lot going on with this pen that is best demonstrated, so in order to get a closer look, please join me over here at camera 2. So here we have the Nahvalur Eclipse. Just to begin with, on the box, it does have a QR code for instructions in regard to how to fill it and how to maintain this pen, which is nice to have. As I mentioned, these pens are machined from aluminum. For the sake of this portion of the review, let's just focus on the pure silver model. Let's start with the parts and features of this pen. It's a bit tough to determine where to start here. The barrel is faceted. The company name is lightly engraved and filled here on one of the 12 facets. On the silver version, it is tougher to see, but you can see on the other 2 how it stands out a little bit more. And then we have these unique gaps here, which actually serve a purpose. What's underneath here is black plastic. How you extend and retract the nib is unique. You don't press a knock, but rather you press the 2 halves of the pen together, and you can see how the facets interact with one another. I will say that engaging the nib takes a bit of intention. The mechanism works well, but it requires a bit of effort. It's also a 2-handed job. I guess you could try it with 1 hand, but when you do so, it requires you to kind of grip the pen and apply a bit of pressure. When you apply a bit of pressure to this middle portion, then it's actually inhibiting the mechanism to do its job. So it's either a 2-handed job, or if you use 1 hand, then you need to kind of grip the pen here on the lower section towards the end of the pen as to not apply pressure in this area. Okay, let's take a look at this nib. First of all, you can see here there's a little trap door which opens up. beneath the nib as it extends. It's somewhat similar in size as you will find on a Pilot vanishing point, but the vanishing point nibs are gold and the ones on the Eclipse are stainless steel. I'll give you a closer look at how these nibs compare here in a bit. Then we have the clip. Now, I was a bit torn on this clip. It looks okay, but with a modern, futuristic-looking pen, I would have preferred something a little bit more modern in the design. This clip has a bit of a retro look and feel to it. I feel that the biggest issue that some folks will have with this pen is the section, and I use the word section loosely. There really isn't much of a section here. And while the raised portions of the facets aren't overly sharp, it's not necessarily comfortable as a grip surface. So you have a few options here. You can grip it back here on the facets, but as I mentioned, it's not the most comfortable. You can move your grip up here onto the clip band, but that's a bit slick and not the largest surface. And then the forward portion of the pen angles down and really isn't viable to use when writing. Now, an interesting feature of this pen is that you can remove the clip. I know that many folks don't care for the vanishing point because of the placement of the clip. Now, the vanishing point is a much thinner pen, so here is what that looks like. And so for my grip really goes into the indentations here, and I really don't mind the clip. I find it helps me kind of index the nib to keep it at the right angle. But like I said, there's folks out there who don't care for it as much. With the Eclipse being a much thicker pen, for me, the clip really doesn't come into play, but like I said, it can be removed. It takes a little bit of effort. Let me get it off here. How do I get it? There we go. But that's what it looks like when it slides off. And then that leaves a little bit of what could be utilized as a section. Now, I will say that's very short, and I still find my grip spilling over to the uncomfortable facets, but without the clip, it's more of a traditional section. I just wish that this forward portion here was a bit larger so that if you remove the clip, you would have a more generous area to grip the pen. Then again, I do like unique pens, and the way this pen feels in the hand is certainly unique. Would I want all of my pens to have this feel? No. But having one in my collection that does something like this, I can live with. So it's not something that will prevent me from getting good use from this pen. Okay, so how do you fill this pen? In order to do so, you need to unscrew the back. And the two parts will actually separate. Then you can remove the nib unit. This nib is currently available in fine and medium. I believe there's plans on expanding the nib offerings as they ramp up production. And then here's a look at the plastic feed. In regard to the nib unit of the vanishing point, let me go ahead and get that out here. You can see that they are fairly similar. They do have some differences in some of the design elements to it, but the converter on the Narwhal appears to be very close in size to the Pilot converter. The company states you should not try to use this with a cartridge, and that the nibs are made in-house by Narwhal. You can see here that the nib is stamped, let me get the right angle there, with the company logo, which isn't visible when you use the pen. In order to ink this up, you simply activate the converter, dip it in the bottled ink of your choosing, and then you wipe it off and place it back in the barrel. There are actually little notches here on the side, which match up with a notch here on the side of the barrel. You can see that, and then it just slides right in. There is a spring in here as well. And then you need to screw the barrel back together again. Now, it doesn't need to go in a certain orientation, which is nice, but you do need to apply a bit of pressure so that these two halves, because it's screwing into this black plastic portion here, so that black plastic portion has to be over the thread portion, which is right here. So you have to push it over that, and then while you have pushed it down, then you twist it shut, and now you are good to go. Let me go ahead and get this part out of here. In regard to price, I mentioned it up top, but this pen is very reasonably priced. It sells for $99. So a price point coming in at essentially $100 is reasonable for what you receive with this pen. It's unique. It's something a bit different. And in exchange for that uniqueness, I could get over the funkiness of the section. It is currently available through a wide number of retailers. I'll put a link to the Narwhal site below where you can find additional details. Let me go ahead and get those other ones, and might as well have those other ones here as I'm going over this end portion. And then that's what it looks like without the clip. I will say that as they are wrapping up production of these pens, inventory has been a bit spotty. Sometimes they're in stock and other times they're not. They haven't quite gotten up to that steady stream of inventory for this new model quite yet. Okay, let's take a look at some measurements and then come back for size comparisons and a writing sample. Here we go with the size comparisons for the Nahvalur Eclipse. In regard to a couple of other Nahvalur models, this is the Original Plus, and that's the Rainbow Ras, which was available through Gold Spot pens. And then here is a Nautilus Horsehead Nebula. And then here is the original Demonstrator. This was their first model they ever came out with. So there's a big difference between their first model and their most recent. In regard to a couple of other models, this is what it looks like with the Platinum Kuridas, and then the Pilot Vanishing Point, and then here is a Pilot Custom 823. So in regard to the writing sample, we're going to use this gold one, and we have the Nahvalur Eclipse. This is a medium stainless steel nib. And then I also have the black model that's in a fine, which I'll show you here in a minute. And the ink I'm using, appropriately enough, is Narwhal. Oh, you know what? I spelt it the old way. And it is Atlantic Blue. This is what the ink looks like. It's kind of a non-saturated blue-green. It kind of looks somewhat similar to Papier Plume's number 13, or even something like Pelikan Edelstein's Aquamarine. This is what the bottle looks like. Nice 20 milliliter bottles. And so far the inks from Nahvalur has been nice. In regard to the rest of the writing sample, I will say that this medium nib writes on the fine side of medium. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of this. I'd say the ink flow is fairly decent. In regard to reverse writing, this would be an odd one to do reverse writing with, but it does it very well. And in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up very well. Now actually take a look at the fine nib. So, we'll just add it right here up top. This is the Eclipse. And this is the fine stainless steel nib. And then maybe we'll just do some fast writing down here just to compare. And you can see this is a bit of a finer nib. This is me just smudging the ink with my hand. So here we have the Nahvalur Eclipse. Is this a perfect model? No. But is it intriguing and unique and different and something that I will enjoy using on occasion? Then yes, absolutely. I wish that the section was slightly different, but I think that there's enough unique and positive things about this pen, especially for the price point, that I find it worthwhile. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.